This is a view, so I've gone through the introduction. This happens to be a view of the Porter, which is TB6, one of the largest Herreshoff torpedo boat built. We've talked about what happened from 1868 to 1897. And so what we're talking about today is based upon new research. I would like to introduce Dave Mccomb. David Mccomb over here. Dave Mccomb is the Destroyer History Foundation. And if you're interested in Navy history and destroyers, there's no better place to go than the Navy History Foundation website. Elegant website, is better and more information than anything the Navy has. And so what Dave has postulated two things, and one of them is what he calls the Narragansett Bay Connection and timeline. And I have adapted that in my presentation, although my slides are nowhere near as elegant as Dave's. The other thing Dave has done is pointed out the importance of George Albert Converse. George Albert Converse was a naval officer, and he witnessed the model testing, design work, construction, and trials of every Herreshoff torpedo boat built here from 1876 through early 1897. Both Dave and I have independently gone down to view the George Converse collection at the SMU Library in Dallas, Texas. Now, here in Bristol, I happen to come from Portsmouth, so I will never be considered a Bristolian. I was told that the first day I volunteered here. So who can imagine that we could go find Bristolian history in Dallas, Texas? But let me tell you that he wrote more than Nat Herreshoff ever wrote about what Nat Herreshoff was doing. Also, we're really fortunate here in Narragansett Bay to have the Navy War College, the War College Library, and the museum. They're always very helpful to us. And so part of this research has been reviewing the Secretary of Navy annual reports to the President at the library. And last but not least, thanks to Halsey, we have here within the museum the Nathaniel Green Herreshoff papers. And thanks to the board of the museum who's seen that they've been protected and cared for through the years, we can, with this new information we gathered from these other sources, go back and look at what Nat Herreshoff's papers and better understand what he was trying to tell us. So what we're going to talk about today starts with the Narragansett Bay Business Plan, Narragansett Bay Connection, and ends with the Narragansett Bay Connection. But really, there's a thread through this whole story, and the thread is what the Herreshoff's business plan was, how they approached their business, and how that business plan fared when they tried to apply it to the torpedo boats and to the Navy customer. So the first thing is to understand the Navy's business plan. And I might say that the boat you see in the background is the Cushing, the one that's the model out front. This is Cushing during her trials here in Narragansett Bay. Herreshoff Manufacturing Company. Two photographs. This is John Brown Herreshoff, the blind older brother, at the age of 40. This photograph is 1881. Was taken in England when he was over there to deliver two 48-foot launches to the British Admiralty. John Brown, or JB, president of the company, treasurer, and also the one who did all the negotiating on contracts. Below him is Nat Herreshoff. This photograph is from 1876. Nat is 28 years old. He's designer of the yard, and he's also superintendent of the works. He has control from the beginning of the design, the completion of the product, and also ran the trials. Their business plan, the elements you see there of the business plan, the two main points are we will build only our own designs, we will sell our designs to no one. Now this is a very optimistic plan because what it said was whatever we designed, we can build in-house and we can build it in a way that we can produce a decent profit. And secondly, it was an aggressive plan because it said that because what they meant to do, they meant to compete at the top level of any market they entered. How this really worked in practice was what they were looking for is you as a customer come in and tell them what you wanted to do, And they then said, we will design it for you, we will build it for you, and we will guarantee its performance. Let me give you an example. In 1889, William Randolph Hearst, the publisher of the San Francisco Examiner, wanted to have the fastest boat on the West Coast. That was his requirement. Nat Herreshoff designed for him a boat, 112-foot boat, to do 25 knots. And John Brown Herreshoff agreed to a contract that said if the boat did not produce 25 knots, Hearst would not have to accept the boat and they would not get paid for it. That was their work in practice. You tell us what you want it to do, leave all the design work to us, and we will guarantee the performance and we'll meet that performance. This is the Narragansett Bay Connection slide. At the very top of the slide in yellow, you see the timeline of dates and the names of the torpedo boats, starting with Lightning in 1876 and going to Morris, Talbot, and Gwynn in about 1897, 8 torpedo boats. Up through 1897, the Herreshoff built more than 50% of the torpedo boats built for the Navy. Below in blue is John Brown Herreshoff. He starts business in about 1863. And in 1878, when that chart goes to orange, is when the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company, the partnership between the two brothers with that agreement I just showed you, was put together. In 1869, in green, the Newport Torpedo Station is founded. They had responsibilities for the development of torpedoes and torpedo boats. From the very beginning of the torpedo station, the Herreshoff brothers encouraged naval officers to visit Herreshoff. Every time the Herreshoffs had a new boiler or a new engine design, they would invite the Navy up to take a look. They would invite the Navy up on trials. The trials for Vamoose, because William Randolph Hearst could not be here, the trials of Vamoose were witnessed by Navy inspectors. The trial was run on a Navy course. There was a very close relationship between the ordnance officers, the torpedo station, and the Herreshoffs. And then the final part of the Narragansett Bay Connection is 1885, when the War College is established. The War College established the intellectual basis for the strategies and war thinking for the Navy, and that was the basis upon which this new Navy was going to be designed to meet those requirements. The other thing the War College did, it attracted the top people in the Navy here, secretaries of the Navy. Secretary of the Navy would come here, visit the War College, and an office would often come up here to see the Herreshoffs, where JB could talk to them and explain to them all the great things Herreshoff could do, just as long as they were kept free of bureaucratic control from the bureaus of the Navy. Good luck. Good luck. Now, the Herreshoffs left the torpedo boat business in 1897. And so what's here in blue, I know it's hard to see, are the America's Cup boats that were built by the Herreshoffs starting in 1893 with Colonia and Vigilant. And one thing that did was, building those America's Cup boats, they provided work for the metal crews at Herreshoff, because these were metal hull boats. The metal crews at Herreshoff, they also provided the income to make up for the loss of the torpedo boat business. What it didn't do, of course, they took a hit in their engine shop and their boiler shops. But it was the America's Cup business, and then after that, starting in 1902, the large steel schooners that filled the void when the Herreshoff left torpedo boat business. And they did very well during those years financially. This is Lightning. This is the U.S. Navy's first torpedo boat. Now, the Navy had torpedo boats in the Civil War, but they were all boats that were adaptations. All the slides you see on Herreshoff torpedo boats will be organized like this. You'll see the name, the date. That was the date it was built. In some boats, you'll see the range of dates it was built. Whether it's wood or metal, what the overall length is, beam, displacement in long tons, horsepower, and speed. Lightning was a spark torpedo boat. That means it has a let's see. It has this bomb, spherical bomb on the end of a long pole. You drove up against the enemy vessel, and either you exploded it because there was an igniter as part of that bomb, or you had an electrical contact mechanism where you could ignite it. This boat was designed to go as fast astern as the head, because you had it, once you made contact, you wanted to get out of there as fast as you could.
If there was anything
Now this is a 59-foot boat with a 38 horsepower engine. It is only 3 tons. It is very light, extremely light. And the lightness came about because of the Herreshoff technology, which we'll talk about. You can't read this, but this is an excerpt from the Secretary of Navy report from 1876. This is a complete history of how the Navy came about to order the Lightning from Herreshoff and its trials report. It starts out with a letter from Captain Breeze to the torpedo station that says, I went up to visit the Herreshoffs. They have some great launches. They have launches with a boiler that you can light off the boiler and get underway in 5 minutes. I think it would be very good for a torpedo boat. I've asked J.B. Herreshoff to give us a proposal. Down here is a letter from J.B. Herreshoff that says, I propose to build for you a 59-foot boat that will go 19 miles an hour, and the boiler will run on seawater. Down here is a short response from the Navy Department that says, yes, you have to run on 19 miles an hour for 1 hour, and we want the boiler to run on seawater.